Dad, we're going to start our second video segment. We had left off last week at the Florida Park one when you were a baby,
Right.
and you were going there during the summer. Now we're going to go back to where you are from, where you were born, which is October 24th, 1933. And your mother, Mary, actually didn't even go to a hospital. She actually had a midwife that would just come.
No, it was a doctor.
Oh, was it? Oh, it wasn't a midwife. Okay.
Doctor, what's his name?
Malfalfa or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that was somebody else. I remember the name myself, kind of, but I always was under the impression that a midwife came first. Then the doctor came.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's the opposite sometimes. Well, either way.
So while you were being born, the business downstairs that your grandfather started in which we'll do that another segment, 1906, he opened Delarezza Tailoring,
Right.
and that was on the first floor. And then you had what, 3 floors above that? Two. And then you had different family members, right? In those days, people of different generations lived in the same house.
Little apartments.
Right. So who lived there?
May
At 17. I'm sorry. It was at 18th and Pierce in South Philadelphia.
18th and Pierce.
Who lived there?
Uncle Al, Grandmama, Grandpa.
Vita and John, you mean? Yeah, that's who owned the store.
Right. We lived there.
How about May's husband? Oh, she wasn't married yet.
No, married.
Any cousins? Like, how about
No.
Augustine?
No, that's the other side.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe they. Then Pop-Up's family didn't live that far from there.
No, about
16th and more.
Yeah, 15. About 5 blocks.
Right, so that's where Frank and Mary lived.
Right.
Okay, and Pop-Up had 7 brothers and sisters.
Right.
Rose, Rocco. Let's see, Nick, Pop-Up. I think who comes after that. Margaret,
Marge, yeah.
yeah. Dorothy, Albert, Joe,
yeah.
and Carmela, who she didn't like being called that, but her name is Millie.
Millie.
So, and then in the house you were born in, that's your mother's side of the family, the Delaretzas.
Right.
And there were 5 children. So there was Alfonso, Mary, your mother,
Right.
and Gilda, your aunt,
Yeah.
and May, who was Philomena, your aunt, and Tony, Anthony,
That's
your youngest uncle. So they all lived there when you were born. So you went to school, obviously, there, right from the kindergarten?
Yeah, in Drexel School.
Drexel School. Then later you changed over to a different school when you and your mother and father moved to 19th and Jackson?
Yeah.
That was across from Nick's Roast Beef.
No.
Yeah, 1940 Jackson Street.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 1940 Jackson.
Yeah, because remember you and I ate there when I lived in South Philadelphia before I moved to Florida. So you stayed in South Philadelphia from 1933 to 1946.
Right.
And that's when the family on your mother's side moved to Upper Darby.
Right.
So that's when they left the city.
Right.
So what did you like best about living in South Philadelphia?
The people, things that went on. Nobody was locking their doors.
What was it like during the war? Like from 1942 to 1945? During World War II?
Yes.
I heard like you would hear sometimes sounds from the sky.
Well, they had air raids.
And you had gas lights?
Yeah.
Is that how the light was turned off and on? I mean, at night?
At night, yeah, man went around the pole with the light on. And then in the morning, turn it off.
And what was it like in the winter as far as the house being heated?
Well, we had oil heat.
Oh, you were lucky enough to have oil heat because a lot of people had coal.
Right.
But I've heard stories that people like sleeping, 3 or 4 people in one bed.
Yeah, well, that May and Nana and
Gilda.
slept in one bed.
And was it easy for them to get jobs during that era? I mean, because it was like...
To me, anyway.
I mean, I know that Gilda, of course, holds the title, being with the Acme since 1929. That was a great story. She was walking down the street during the Great Depression, and it was called American Stores.
American stores.
And it was on a corner, just a little corner store.
Yeah.
And he hired her right there.
Right there.
And of course, we do know that Nana and May were always as seamstress and dressmakers, and they were in the garment.
Right.
So they worked for designers, like people that were in department stores.
Yeah.
And then once your grandfather closed the store, just like Florida Park when he sold the house, was that also during the war?
Yeah.
Or was it earlier?
I think it was earlier, yeah.
Okay, so maybe when he got a little older, he didn't want to do it. So what did he end up doing for a living?
He got a job for John Wanamaker's.
Oh, that's when he went to John Wanamaker's, the one at 13th and Market.
Right.
And what did he do there? Just the tailoring there?
Tailoring and
Oh, just like I had Pop come and work for me at Weinberg's.
yeah.
And I had him in the tailoring room. And your, I guess that all your aunts and uncles, they all went in different, I mean, obviously Tony became a teacher. So, after the war.
Yeah,
Your uncle, he became a Spanish teacher.
In Low Murray.
Yeah, right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And he left, he went to Manayunk, Roxborough area.
Yeah.
I know that. And we know that May then married Joe.
Yeah.
And then she moved out to the suburbs when all of you went out there.
Yeah.
So you went to Sanford Road in Upper Darby. That's how the South Philadelphia thing ended. What was it like in the summer, like during, the years in South Philadelphia? I mean, I've heard people tell me that ice was delivered from a truck.
Right.
Did you have an ice cream man?
No.
No, nothing like that?
Yeah, hokey pokey.
Oh, okay. There was somebody that sold cones or something. And I know that if you wanted to make a phone call, somebody would pay you about a few cents to go to a drugstore.
Right.
Is that right? That was what was going on in that era.
Yeah.
And
the drugstore had two or three or four phone booths.
yeah, okay. I've seen videos of it in movies.
Yeah.
And also, I guess there wasn't a problem with parking, was there?
No.
Because I've seen people pushing cars in the snow, but it looks like there's a lot of room around them. And how did you deal with the heat? I've seen people actually sleeping out on fire escape.
Or in the hallway usually of the house.
Right, especially how sensitive you were. How our house when I was growing up was like you could raise penguins in there. It was so cold.
You didn't think about it because you had no other choice.
Yeah, they didn't bring in air conditioners until later. Yeah, I didn't think so. Well, in most people's houses anyway.
Very.
So what's your favorite thing about living in South Philadelphia, and what do you miss most?
The people you had, your friends. You had a lot of friends.
Well, you went to a lot of schools.
Huh?
You went to a lot of schools.
Yeah. Because Nana kept moving.
Yeah, that's right. And then when we discuss Upper Darby in another segment, that'll be interesting because you really moved a lot in that. They were like the first house flippers.
Yeah.
You didn't see that too much then.